welcome to the interview.
Hi, Irelyn.
Hi. Okay, so we're talking about just things about you and your past life, about your life right now and stuff. Family history, biographical research. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have any questions before we start?
No.
No questions. Okay.
Go ahead.
First question: where and when were you born?
Where and when? I was born in Torrance, California, August 2nd, 1979.
Wow. Okay. Do you have any siblings, brothers or sisters?
I do. I have two brothers. One is 7 years older and one is 2 years older.
Wow. Where and when were they born?
They were also born in Torrance, California, and my oldest brother was born April... now I'm forgetting my brother's birthday.
It's fine.
April 25th, 1972. And my other brother was born November 28th, 1978.
Who were the children born to that marriage?
Just my two brothers and me.
Okay. Where and when were they born?
Same answer I just gave you.
No, I mean like,
My parents?
Yeah, parents.
Oh, parents. Okay. I believe both of my parents were born in California. I don't know the city. My dad was born November 22nd, 1947. My mom was born January 6th, 1950.
Okay. Now we're gonna go on to a bit of family history, right?
Okay. Shoot.
Who were you named for? Were you?
Was I named for anyone?
Yeah.
Well, they actually took a couple days to name me. Once I was born in the hospital, they were deciding between a couple names. Neither of them were the name they chose. They were deciding between Jennifer and Allison. And then my dad was holding me while my mom was sleeping in the hospital, and he was watching a movie. And when the credits played, he saw the name Kelly spelt with an I-E, and he really liked it. And then they discussed and decided that was the name.
Wow, that's really cool for how you got named. What do you know about your family's last name?
O'Brien. It means of Brian. And the Brian they're talking about is of Brian Baru. We're from the family of Brian Baru, who is Irish descent.
Wow.
And there's a whole history of Brian Baru. I believe he made changes in Ireland. I don't know if he was a warrior or it was political, but anyways, we're of Brian Baru.
Wow, that was really interesting. So this question next needs a question before it. When you said you were born, where did you grow up as a kid? Were you in Ireland or California?
No, I was born in California and I was raised there my whole life. I grew up in Redondo Beach for the first 8 years, and then we moved to Orange County area, into the city of Mission Viejo, and that's where I grew till I became an adult.
Okay, so this
all
question...
Southern California.
So this question doesn't matter because it's obviously not. What are some of your childhood memories? What games did you plan as a kid?
Childhood memories. Well, depends on what age, but a great memory I have is special things my parents would do with us. My dad, every year for my birthday, would say, pick a meal and I'll take you out for a birthday date. I always chose breakfast. So I got to have a birthday breakfast with my dad, and again for my birthday my mom would say, pick a meal and I'll make you your favorite meal. I always chose a dinner, chicken nuggets and mac and cheese, both homemade. So that was nice. We used to have a family game night every Friday where it was the only night my mom didn't cook, and we would get TV dinners, and we'd do a picnic in the living room floor with our TV dinners and then play board games and sometimes watch a movie.
That sounds like really fun. It's like a great memory.
My dad built me a playhouse cottage in our backyard, and I used to go out there and play with my friends and have tea parties and things like that. I enjoyed that. As far as games, my brother and I used to play typical board games like Sorry and Chutes and Ladders, Uno. Those were some favorites. Battleship.
Wow.
And Nintendo came out with their first video game when I was younger. So we had the original Nintendo with the original Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. That was fun.
Sounds like awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
We also went on family vacations every year. Every September we went to Yosemite and did camping trip. And every August we went to Carpinteria State Beach and did camping on the beach. So those were fun memories as well.
Camping on the beach. Wow. Any like waves came in, like a tsunami?
No,
No, never.
We went far back on the beach, away from the waves. It was a campground on the beach.
That would have been scary, tsunami where you were sleeping. But okay, next question is, can you name a few of your best friends as a childhood you've had, or as an adult you still have?
Yeah, I had several best friends as a child. When I was much younger and living in the Redondo Beach, LA area, my best friends were Abigail, Rebecca, Christina, and they were children of some of my parents' best friends. And then when we moved to Mission Viejo, I made some friends on my street that became fairly close. A friend Stephanie and a friend Beth. And then in our church group, I made one of my lifelong best friends, and her name is Becky. My children know her as Auntie Boppy. And Laura, which you know as Auntie Laura. And those were my two best friends growing up through high school and my college years. And then after I got married and I was a little older, my lifelong adult friend has been Krista, which my children know her as Auntie Krista. And she is somebody I met through my ex-husband, who was one of his good friends' wife, and we remain best friends today. And so I would say those are my top friendships. I've made a lot more, especially being a military wife for 10 years previously. Made a lot of good friends, but those are my top ones.
Wow, that was pretty cool. Do you know a few of them, just a few of them, where and when a few of them were born? We have no clue.
Not my best friends, actually, because I'm not sure. I would assume most of them were born in California because that's where I met most of them and I knew they grew up there. But I do have a friend who I met through the military. She's not one of my closest friends, but she's a very dear friend, and her name is Gianna. I met her through the military. Her husband was military, and she was born in Brazil.
Wow, Brazil.
Brazil, correct. Her
Is
parents.
it just Brazil? You know a part of Brazil?
I don't know. Her parents were good friends with her husband's parents, who were missionaries in Brazil.
Do you or your parents speak a language other than English?
Does Pig Latin count?
I guess, yeah.
No.
They don't?
No. I learned Spanish in high school, but I did not keep up with it. Therefore, I know only a few words. I would not say I know the language.
Okay. What were the most outstanding family characteristics / traits?
For my family, characteristics and traits. We were a very close-knit family. My dad is the oldest of 9 children. My mom is the third in line of 4 children, all sisters, all girls. So we had a very large family, and we're all very close-knit, a lot of family parties. I would say a characteristic is a big focus on family. We're a conservative family and Christian, so we were very involved in our church. Our faith is big to us, our entire family. And we were also characterized as a homeschool family, at least my parents and my siblings and I, because my mom and dad chose to homeschool us from a very young age, me from 2nd grade on through high school. And so we were considered a homeschool family as well. Yeah, we would also characterize, I would say, middle class. So,
Next question. What jobs have you had? What is your occupation now?
what jobs have I had? Well, I had several small, short jobs as a teenager and young adult. Just various things like working at Dairy Queen. I worked at a chiropractic office and the back therapy office. I worked at a cafe as a waitress. I worked as a nanny. I worked at a shoe store. I worked at an optometrist office doing back office work. That was all before I got married. My most important job I've ever had was becoming a mom, and that became my full-time occupation when I got married, until about 4 years ago. And then I've become the CFO of my husband's company, although it started out just being a financial assistant. And then I have moved up to being the CFO. So I handle all the things financial for the company. And he actually has multiple companies. So for 3 companies right now, I'm the CFO.
That's a really
which
big job.
stands for Chief Financial Officer.
Oh, thank you. I was just about to ask that, and
There you
that's a big job. Yeah. What stories have come down to you and your parents and grandparents or more distant relatives?
What stories have been passed down?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I can't really think of any passed down stories.
Or like your favorite?
I can't think of anything that's been passed down. The only thing I can think of, and I don't know all the details, but my grandfather decided to look into his genealogy of the O'Brien family and discovered that at some point, I think it was somewhere in the 1700s, one of our distant relatives was a Spanish princess.
Wow.
So
that's really, really, really
again,
cool.
I don't know the details. I don't know the name. I know it's somewhere. He had it written down before he passed away at his research. But somewhere in our genealogy was a Spanish princess, and she left that life and I think went to Ireland and married someone there, and she's part of our lineage.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So she's not a princess anymore?
Well, she is of royal blood, but I believe she left her kingdom per se and her line for love.
That's cool.
So that is the only story that I really heard.
Does your family have any special says? What are they? How did they come out? About?
Special what?
Special says.
Says? Like sayings?
Like sayings, yeah.
Special sayings. I can't think of any family special saying. I'd be really hard pressed to think of one.
Yeah, it's okay.
No, I think individual people have their own little silly things that they say, but nothing that's like a family saying.
Can you think of one that you and your family say a lot? Maybe not family one, but one you guys say a lot?
I have a nonsensical saying. It wouldn't make much sense to anyone else because it's, I believe, from a movie, and so it's a quote from a movie, and my family likes to make the joke when you have an object or something you're not quite sure what it is. They say, it's a hat, a brooch, and a pterodactyl. I don't know what that's from. It's from some movie. A hat, a brooch, and a pterodactyl.
Wow.
I have no idea.
That's a funny saying.
It's not a saying. It's a quote that they joke around with, but yeah, no serious saying.
Wow. What special food traditions does your family have? Have any recipes been preserved and passed down to your family from generation to generation? What are they?
So there hasn't been anything that's been passed down and passed down through several generations. And this one I wouldn't call a recipe, but there is a way of eating a certain thing that was sort of passed down. My grandmother on my mom's side was born and raised during the Depression, when certain things were a luxury and you couldn't have it, like butter. So when the Depression ended, they started putting butter on everything. So my grandmother grew up putting butter on her peanut butter and jelly sandwich first. She spread the bread with butter, then put the peanut butter and jelly. So there was a layer of butter on there. She taught my mom to do that. My mom did that for us. And so I've always put butter first on my peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So it's not necessarily a recipe. My grandma on my dad's side made a really delicious corned beef because she's Irish. And so for St. Patrick's Day, she would make that every year, and I asked her to show me one year. It involves the frozen cans of orange juice concentrate, cloves. It's a very yummy spice kind of flavored corned beef. It's delicious. And then my mom had a recipe that she passed down to me. We ate it recently, and it's called Dutch Babies. And she made that for me growing up, and it's basically a giant pancake of a sort made in a cast iron skillet, and it puffs up all bubbly, and so it's a different texture than a pancake, but it looks like a big pancake, and then you cut it into almost like pizza slices and put powdered sugar on it.
Wow.
So
we have about 2 more questions,
okay.
but here's just one I thought of. I want to know what family toys you've had, and a few of them passed down to you. Childhood toys?
Toys, no. There was no toys that made it through previous generations and were still intact. However, as a girl growing up, I did what a very common thing, and I would raid my mother's jewelry box and try on her jewelry for fun and dress up and look in the mirror and look at how pretty it was. And among her things were several very special jewelry pieces that were from her mother. There's a ring with a piece of sea glass in it. There is a metallic chain mesh purse that's about this size, and it's really like a necklace purse. It just has a tiny little pocket. My mom had a pair of clip-on earrings that were my grandmother's that were a gold bow with little diamonds in them. And there was a big ring that was my grandmother's, and it had some kind of orange sparkly something on it, I'm not sure. So those were, to me, it wasn't a toy, but it was something I did play with that was passed down from my grandmother to my mother, and then when my mom passed away, I got those. So
that's very interesting. Another thing I want to add, you didn't have any like special family you loved between all your others? Do you have a special one?
I did not have a stuffed animal that was special. What I had was a blankie and a pillow that were very special to me. I did have a Raggedy Ann and Andy doll that were some of my favorites, and I believe I saved them in a box somewhere. But my blankie was made for me by a friend of my mom's when I was born. And it was a little tiny patchwork quilt with little bows on it. And I slept with it. I carried it around, and it became so worn and thin, my mom had to stitch it at least 10 times. And it's so thin now, and the batting in the middle is so thin, you could hold it up and see right through it. And it had a front, a back, and the batting, which is a kind of a padding. So I loved that thing to death. And I had a little pillow that was given to me by my mom's friend, a different friend. And it was a green velvet pillow. And it was a little round pillow that she had on her couch. And she gave it to me because I loved it so much. And I just loved to feel it. So I would snuggle this little tiny pillow about this big and just feel the soft velvet. So I'd snuggle with my blankie and my pillow. So I had stuffed animals, but I didn't get attached to those like I did my blankie and pillow.
That sounds
And
really cute.
fun fact, my blankie, I named it Whoopi. So my blankie was named Whoopi.
Whoopi?
Or, yeah, rather than call it a blanket, I'd say that's my Whoopi.
Aw, that's awesome. Were you in the military? What branch of service were you in? And where did you serve and for how long?
So I was not in the military myself, but I was married to my girl's dad for 10 years who served in the Coast Guard. So I was a Coast Guard wife, or as they like to call them, coastie wives.
Then what branch of service was he in?
Coast Guard.
He was in Coast Guard. And how long did he serve in the
10
Coast Guard?
years.
10 whole years. Wow. Cool. We're gonna go with the last questions. Okay. It's local and community life. It's just 4 questions.
Okay.
Where did you grow up? What was it like?
I grew up, I would say, in 2 places. Redondo Beach for the first 8 years, and then Orange County in the city of Mission Viejo for the rest of my childhood. Redondo Beach was a fairly small beach city in the LA County, and Mission Viejo is a suburb in the Orange County area, which is halfway between San Diego and Los Angeles. And it's about 20 minutes from the ocean. So we were inland, not right next to the ocean. When I lived in Redondo Beach, it was 1 mile from the ocean, my house. So you could walk up my hill and down a few more, up and down, and it took you, my street took you straight down to the ocean. And so they were both nice cities. I enjoyed living in them. They were pretty. They were fairly safe, at least in the time that I grew up. So.
Okay. I'm just looking through the rest of the questions. One of them has like a typo, so I'm not gonna say that one. Where did you go to school?
Well, for kindergarten and first grade, I was still living in Redondo Beach, and I went to, let's see if I can remember the name of it. I went to an elementary school there. Oh, the name's escaping me, but I went to an public elementary school in Redondo Beach growing up, and then my parents started homeschooling me in 2nd grade, so we were part of a homeschool group in it's called the South Bay area, so it's kind of the beach areas in the Los Angeles County. So I was in a homeschool group there, and then when we moved to Mission Viejo, I was in a homeschool group in Mission Viejo area, Saddleback Christian Academy, until I graduated high school.
And lastly, what was your first home like?
My first home, that would have been in Redondo Beach, and it was a 3-bedroom, 1-story house. It was kind of typical beach city home, probably more of a 40s and 50s style architecture. And we had a big tree in our front yard with a tire swing. There was a whole gate around our front yard, and we had a side deck just behind the driveway. There was a side patio deck which led to a fairly good sized backyard where our garage was behind the house, and there was a little hill in our backyard, and the rest was flat. So we had a little playhouse out there. We spent a lot of time playing in a little plastic pool or sprinklers. And then our house just had 2 bathrooms and 3 bedrooms. So my brother and I shared a bedroom because we were close in age, and my other brother, who was much older, got his own room, and then my parents' room. So it was a pretty small house. But it was a good house.
Okay, and that does it. I have a few questions myself.
Okay.
Without the clipboard. Just a few because it's about Graham and Chris, because we haven't gone to talk about Graham and Chris a lot. Just about your mom. I would like to ask what her favorite animal was.
Oh, I don't know if she ever told me any favorite animal. She wasn't a huge animal person that I know of. I think she was kind to animals and cared about them, but didn't have like a favorite animal per se. My guess would be that she was more of a dog person than a cat person.
Okay.
I can tell you she was terrified of horses, though.
Really?
Yes, she was terrified of horses. But we had several animals. She always allowed animals in the house. We had bird. My brother had a bird. We had dog. I had several cats. I had rats and mice and hamsters, fish. I think that's about it. But we had a lot of animals growing up, so she didn't mind them. But she wasn't. I don't think she had a favorite. Oh, I had bunnies too.
You had bunnies. That's
I did
cute.
have bunnies.
What was her favorite food, or like a snack, or just something she really liked to munch on a lot?
Other than chocolate, because that would be her top favorite thing. She loved chocolate. She liked things with peanut butter. She loved having an English muffin with peanut butter on it. And let's see, I didn't see her snack a lot. So,
But she loved chocolate?
But she loved chocolate, yeah. No, I didn't really see her do snacks a lot, but for treats, she loved chocolate, for sure. Anything chocolate.
That's really nice. So I think that does it. I don't have any other questions about her, except for one. How long did Grammy Chris live for?
She lived almost exactly 50 years. She was born January 6th of 1950, and then she died April 9th of 2000. So she lived only a few months past her 50th birthday. She did turn 50 and then died a few months later. So she was alive for basically 50 years.
About half a
century.
Half a century, yeah.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for coming to the interview. That does it.
All right. You're welcome, Irelyn.
Bye.